and welcome to another episode of TEVAdrive. On my left is 2020 Porsche Taycan 4S pure electric car, and on my right is 2020 Volvo S90 T8 inscription Polestar engineered. Whew, what a long name. Anyways, you're probably wondering why we're comparing a plug-in hybrid Volvo with a pure electric Porsche. Well, there are a few reasons, and we'll explain them in a moment. For now, we're just completed half of our range test on both of these cars. So the pure electric range on this one is around 40 kilometers. The estimated pure electric range on the Taycan in range mode is 450 kilometers. So this car here starts at around 75,000. As you see it here, it's 90,000. Where with the Porsche, the 4S starts at a base of 120. As you see it here, it's 163. Of course, you have two higher up models of the Porsche Taycan. You have the turbo, so to go from 4S to a turbo, it's another $50,000, so it's about 170. And then the top of the line Turbo S, it's about just under 220. So every time you jump a model, it's another 50 grand. And the difference is the base model has peak power, which is the temporary boost of 586 horses versus 650 on the turbo and 750 on the Turbo S, approximately. This is, trust me, it's fast enough. And it is also worth the 20 grand over a comparable Tesla Model S. We'll explain why in a moment when we take you for a quick spin in this car. The Volvo here, this is the top of the line Volvo sedan, even though it's substantially cheaper. Luxury-wise, this is a phenomenal car. This is a sports car, this is a luxury car. The space in the rear here is phenomenal, while in the Porsche, the rear space, it is a four-door of course, but the rear space is fairly limited. Here, even though we are both 6'4", 6'5", with me and my son, we can comfortably sit in the back and cross our legs. So it's unbelievable. So this Volvo here is a 400 horsepower. The acceleration is just under 5 seconds. This is a 4-second acceleration. Of course, if you are going for the more expensive models, instead of 4 seconds, you'll get 3.2 in a turbo or 2.7 in a Turbo S. Again, the 4-second, even though on paper it may not be super impressive, but trust me, it's phenomenal. Using Sport Plus mode, this car is as violent as Tesla or even more violent. It's very impressive. We wouldn't mind having one of these in our fleet. Now we have to mention that there will be, regarding Porsche, that there will be rumored cheaper versions. So there'll be a Taycan 4. And there might even be a rear-wheel drive Taycan, which will bring the price under 100,000. Pardon me. In terms of the Volvo, this might be one of their last plug-in hybrids. They will be offering gas models, plug-in hybrids, and pure electric. So, based on the fact that the Polestar, its sister company Polestar, just announced that they will be producing the Polestar Precept sedan, which is a high-performance sedan. Most likely the next generation S90, which will become S100, if we follow the same logic from XC90 to XC100, the next S100 pure electric will compete directly with the Porsche Taycan. So it'll be interesting to see in the next 2 or 3 years how the competition between the two will develop. Okay, so now let us show you each one of these cars from the outside, the front, the trunk, and the interior. Okay, so come and have a look. Starting with the front, if you want to get in a little closer to show how spacious the front is. It's almost Tesla size. Very good space for cables, whatever other additional luggage you may have. Your regular windshield washer fluid access point. Let us show you. This is on the left side, you have the level 2 charging port. Maybe have a peek at that. So this is just a strictly level 2. The level 3 CCS is on the other side. Now, with the 4S, your charge port cover is manual, starting with the turbo. And Turbo S, of course, it's the famous electric door that slides down below to hide it, okay? But this one here is manual. So there's beautiful 2 cup holders right here, and there is a compartment here. Now, the only thing, the design of it is not the best, because when you're trying to get something from this compartment, it's kind of hard. So inside here, and it's hard for you to see, there is a compartment which charges your phone. So you can actually, it's a wireless charger right here. If you put it right here, it will charge your car wirelessly. Now, we wanted to test out the Android Auto using my regular USB cable. It doesn't work because Porsche has put in 2 USB-C charge ports. So I don't have that for my phone, so I was using Bluetooth connection with my phone, but I cannot demonstrate and show you the Android Auto, unfortunately. Apple CarPlay works. Our daughter uses Apple, and she has Apple CarPlay, and that's connects wirelessly, so Apple CarPlay works very well. You have the center screen here, which is your climate screen, and also the battery screen. So there you go. As I mentioned to you in our hypermile exercise, going on 110 in range mode on the highway, we managed to achieve under 20 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers average consumption, which basically gives you 450 kilometers. And it's been confirmed by the fact that we drove almost 160 kilometers, and we have almost, now let's change it back to range mode. We have almost 300 kilometers left, and we drove 160 kilometers, which means 450 kilometer range is doable and it's realistic, which is basically what the car was giving us when we started that trip today. During the charging, it shows you the estimate of how fast it's charging in kilometers per minute, and it tells you the estimated time when the charge will be complete. Other than that, it basically becomes your climate screen. It's basically your climate screen, and you can also controls your opening charge ports. So level 2 on the left, level 3 on the right, the front controls and the trunk controls. So the front you can only open, you have to close it manually. The trunk you can open and close it using these buttons. Okay. Here you have the main screen for entertainment and other. You have the drive modes here. So you have, right now, you can control the drive modes through here, basically, or you can control it through this button here. So you have the range mode, normal, sport, sport plus, and individual. Various levels of assistance, park assist, lane keep assist, lane change assist. By the way, the lane keep assist is very similar to Audi, in that basically it just prompts you back to your lane. It's not a full autopilot like Volvo, Nissan, or Tesla. It's a lane keep assist. So it kind of bounces you from the lanes, and after the second bounce, it takes you. It sounds an alarm, and it forces you to take over. Okay, so here's our trip statistics: 160 kilometers using 19.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And as I mentioned, we were doing. By the way, the range mode is limited to a maximum 110 kilometers per hour. So that's what we did, and we ended up over the last 160 kilometers with an average of 19.5, which is a great score. The climate was on at 18 degrees, and outside temperature was around 10 degrees. So pretty cool temperature outside. And here's your comfort settings. So ambient lighting, you can change the colors here. Where I switched it from blue to red, which is, I think, fits the Porsche character better. Driver seat adjustments, passenger seat adjustments, comfort access, etc. If you go back to the main menu, of course, you have the navigation screen. Here you have the entertainment. Let's go back to home menu, media, phone, the regular. It's your main control screen. This car is equipped with the optional passenger screen. So right now it's not working. Whenever somebody sits down on this seat, I don't know if it's gonna work or not. If the screen, somebody actually has to physically sit on it. There you go, it turned on. You can see you have the controls for the passenger. They can also control navigation, set the navigation, control the media, multimedia, radio, etc. So Passenger has all the controls, which kind of nice when you have a co-pilot. They can control the climate, the entertainment, even navigation from their screen. They don't have to reach into your screen area, okay, which is less distracting to the driver. And yeah, so you don't have to, you can concentrate on driving and not have to fiddle with all that stuff when you have a co-pilot. The main screen here also has different options. So this is the standard screen. Now with the power meter, this shows various options and messages, and then you have the power meter with the speedometer here in the center. The other option is a map. Now this is there you go. Now we have the map, and then you have the extended map. So the map stretches the whole width of the screen, or you can go again, so reduced map. So this is just reduced. It's very minimalistic. It just shows you the speed and the power band. You can change from traffic signs. There you go. You can have traffic signs. You can have G-force, kind of cool. Your G-force acceleration, you only get that in the Porsche, of course. You have the all-wheel front. It shows you which motor is currently working. Porsche, PDCC, the system, and the tire info. So you can customize your front screen by quite a bit, okay? Well, let us show you the rest of the car. The back seat space is not exactly huge. When I am sitting and I'm 6'3.5", my son is 6'5", when we're in a comfortable position here, by the way, the wheel is nice suede. The interior is fabulous, very luxurious. When we're in a comfortable driving position here, it will be hard to fit another 6-footer person behind us. So I would have to really move my seat forward to allow another tall person to travel comfortably in the back seat behind me, which is not the case in the Volvo, which you will show you in a moment. So let us show you, step outside, let's show you the rest of the car. Okay, so just have a quick look at the back seat. So it's a 5-seater. Of course, the middle seat is not the most comfortable, but you have 1, 2, 3 seat belts, so it's definitely a 5-seater. The middle seat, it's probably more for a child, not an adult. And as you can see, the front seat being in a comfortable position for myself, there's not much space left. Let me see if I can fit. So number one is your leg space. I guess someone could fit. Oh boy, it's really hard. Okay, so it's very tight in the back, and that's number one for legs. When you have a tall person driving, another tall person to get in here, and also the headroom. Check this out. Unfortunately, in the Taycan, being a sports car and a very slanted roof with great aerodynamics, even with a glass roof, which gives you more space, you know, the headroom is just simply not there. Okay, so it's not comfortable for long trips for very tall people in the back seat. Another little item, it's a fixed glass roof, not opening roof, and there's no blind, so it's heavily coated, just like Jaguar I-Pace and Tesla's currently. Of course, the coating is much better than our Tesla was. Our Tesla, as you know, was overheating even in the winter. So this is a beautiful, large, fixed glass roof. Okay, let's get out and show you the trunk. So here's the trunk. It's a good space trunk. It's a power lift gate, of course. There is a bit of a storage space so we can show how deep it is. This is where you keep the cables. The cables are actually right here. You could very well have this cable bag in the front. There's enough space for that. And by the way, those cables are only level 2. They're a very high-end charger with a screen on it that plugs into the stove. It comes with a plug that fits your stove outlet, which is a 30 amp outlet. And so it's in the bag here, a nice bag, and that bag is strapped to the trunk, so it won't move around when you're accelerating in this amazing Porsche. Okay, so quite a bit of trunk space, nowhere near as much as the Volvo, as you'll see in a moment, but here's an extra compartment. These are actually the parts for the level 2 charger that the car comes with, for you to mount it in your garage, and manuals here as well. There's also a couple of compartments here for storage, like when you have bottles, traveling with bottles or whatever, you can put it here. It's quite deep, as you can see. I put my shoes and an umbrella there. Same on the right hand side. Okay, and there seems to be a pass-through for large items into the passenger compartment. Let's close the Let's close the trunk so you can see the nice unibrow. Of course, it's more pronounced at night. It's a beautiful back shape of the Porsche. Let's show you around the Volvo now. So after showing you this, the interior of this gorgeous Porsche Taycan, now we're gonna show you its indirect competitor, the Volvo S90 T8, top of the line Volvo sedan in the marketplace. So this is a plug-in hybrid with a almost 12 kilowatt-hour battery, giving you about 40 to 50 kilometer range. It has a total system horsepower of 400 horses, where 315 is from the turbocharged and supercharged 2-liter 4-cylinder with an 85 horsepower electric motor. So the total horsepower is 400, giving you just under 5 seconds acceleration to 100. So still very fast sedan, even though it's a large luxury sedan with lots of space inside and a large trunk. Of course, we would have loved to see the V90 version of it, but they're not bringing it to Canada, so you can only get the plug-in hybrid version of the sedan. Hopefully, they'll be, as I mentioned, they will be coming out with a plug-in hybrid across the range, and also a pure electric versions of this sedan in the next generation. So this is just a regular engine which houses, so the engine drives the front wheels, and the electric motor is located on the rear axle. It's driving the rear wheels. So to get the all-wheel drive in this car, you have to be using both systems. Let's show you the interior. We won't talk too much about the screens, because if you've seen our previous videos of the other 60 and 90 series Volvos, the controls and the screens are basically the same. Nice Auraforce crystal shifter. The on-off button is here. You turn on the car by twisting it to the side. The compartment here is pretty shallow, because I don't know if you remember, the part of the battery, some of it is in the trunk, but some of them is in the center tunnel. That's why you have a pretty high tunnel here in the back, and then not much of a storage here, because some of the battery is right under your arm. This is the inscription model, not the R design, so it's all basically accented on luxury. So you have the chrome and the wood, Bowers Wilkins stereo, and you have this, I cannot show you, but it's a nice opening panorama roof with the sliding cover for it. So that's what we like. So let us also quickly show you the seats are, even though it's an inscription, these are very sporty seats with a lot of lateral support. There's a seat heating, seat cooling, and a massage in this car. So it's, you know, as we mentioned, this is a top of the line with all the options. So it starts at 75 for the plug-in hybrid versions, and this as is 90,000. Of course, there's cheaper gas versions which we're not interested in, so we won't even mention them. Let's show you the amazing rear seat space. Check this out. I mean, we just sat in the Taycan. I couldn't get in, okay? It was so tight for me. Look at this, okay? I mean, this is amazing. This is like limo size space in the back of the S90, even though it's a sedan, not the wagon. Look how much space there is, okay? So this is amazing. So if you're looking for interior space and luxury, you will be probably more inclined to go for an S90 rather than the Taycan. If you want the performance, no question, you'll go with the Taycan, even if it's a little bit more expensive. Although again, as I mentioned, cheaper versions are coming, so they won't be that far apart in price. So a lot of space in the back, and remember that the front seat is already positioned comfortable for my size, and you have, you know, basically 3 seats here, and this goes down. Look at this gorgeous wood inlays, even here with cup holders, and nice storage here for your phone, whatever else. Beautiful, very luxurious finishes. And then the pièce de résistance, of course, you have your own individual climate controls here through a touchscreen. I don't know if you noticed, on the Porsche Taycan, it was all manual controls. So this is actually feels more luxurious than the Taycan in the back seat. Let's show you the trunk, because it's much bigger than a Taycan, of course, as well. Look at the size of the trunk. So there's no more space under the floor. This is what you get, but it's, I'd say, 30 to 50% bigger than a Taycan trunk. A lot of space here. And there's an access point through for long items like skis and such. that's also here. So a very large trunk. And last mention is that there is blinds on the rear windows, which is controlled from the main screen over there. But the passengers can control not only the blind and the windows, they also control the sunroof, and they can close and open the blind on the sunroof and open the sunroof, operate the sunroof from the back seat. So it's kind of almost designed as a limo for the rear seat passenger. Kind of like the extended version of the 7 Series BMW or an S-Class Mercedes. So from now on, we're gonna give you our driving impressions of both cars. So quickly, the main screen, you have 4 screens. The main screen, the entertainment screen, the climate screen, and the passenger screen. The passenger screen is optional, of course. So let me show you first of all the options on the main screen. To the right, you can have your navigation, you can have your trip data. So you can see here it's showing 19.9, but that's only because we have just demonstrated the Sport Plus acceleration to someone. When we arrived here, our average consumption going 110 on the highway was about 19.5. The next one is Sport Chrono. This is if you're on the track, you want to measure your performances, it's right here. The drive mode, there you go, you have the various drive modes. So right now we're in range mode, by the way. Let's show you the impact of different drive modes on the battery and your range. So right now we're in the range mode, we're at 63%, showing 281 kilometers left in range mode. When we switch it to normal, the range goes down to 273. In sport mode, it's down to 266, and Sport Plus, it's down to 259. So you can see what kind of effect. Of course, to get the 450 kilometers, you have to drive in range mode. When you switch it back to range mode, you will notice a small sign right here. It says max 110 kph. I wonder if that is the same for Europe, where the highways are at 130, but here in Canada, it's limited to 110, and that gives you 450 kilometers in the range mode. Some of the other options are Sport Chrono, Trip, Navigate. So you have navigation screen again, Trip, Sport Chrono, Drive Mode, Media. Of course, you can have the media right here. Let's go back. And then you have just general information. So you have your battery percentage, state of charge. You're at 63%. It has battery voltage. It has the battery temperature as well. Okay, so there you go, and just the date. Then we go to the main screen here. So this is right now the navigation screen, and it's Google Earth. Let's switch it to main menu. When you press on the car button, here are the important selections. So right now, this is just, let's go back to drive. You have the drive modes you can select here. You have the chassis range. Let's just put it back in park. You have the chassis height, and this is something that you use frequently because this car is so low that going up ramps, you're bound to scrape the front. You have a shortcut to this, by the way. If you're entering a ramp, you think it's too steep and you might scrape your front, there's a little button here. If you press it, the car goes up, and then beyond 30 kilometers per hour, the car will automatically lower itself anyways. So you have positions low, lowered, regular, and lift. Then you have the recuperation, which we would like on, but it's still, in a Porsche, basically Porsche does not like the single pedal driving. So in order to recuperate, you still have to press the brake pedal, and this is how you regen. The releasing of the acceleration pedal does not cause you to regen. So there's no single pedal driving. Porsche is against it. I'm hoping that they will at least offer it as an option in the future software updates. And finally, electric sports sound. Okay, off. No, we definitely want it on. On. Yeah, so it's on. You will hear it in a moment when we take it for a spin. Then you have your assistance systems, your park assist, basic assist, lane keep assist, lane change assist. Your trip data, okay, so you have the lifetime, you have your trip, and since last charge. So we're keeping track of our trip here to 160 kilometers, average 19.9. So what we are doing for the purpose of this trip, coming up here to Georgian Bay, we basically drove in range mode, doing 110 maximum. Going back, we're gonna drive normally like most Porsche people would in the left lane for a change. Coming up here, we were in the right lane. So we wanna try and compare the statistics, consumption, and everything else going back using these different styles of driving. And then finally, the comfort settings. You have your ambient lighting, You can change, you have your color of the lights. You have your driving seat adjustments, passenger seat adjustments, comfort access, and adjusting passenger seats. Seat heating and seat cooling is all here. I believe that this is because of the suede steering wheel. There is no option for heating. I have not discovered it yet. So there is no seat heating option here in this particular version. So that's it for that screen. You have your reverse screen. That's kind of interesting. We've seen it in one other car. I can't remember which one it was. You have the 3D the bird's eye view, and then you have the camera. You can also do the 3D view. So you can turn it around and, you know, choose your position for viewing, for backing up and getting into tight spaces and stuff. So it's kind of neat. So your gear shifter is right here. Okay. You can also change your modes using this button, which most Porsches have, and of course the Ferraris have it. It's called Manettino. So here there's no Corsa, there's no race mode, but we're gonna switch it into Sport Plus. There we go, we're in Sport Plus right now, as you can see on the main screen. We are in drive. So let's take you for a quick spin and let you experience the sounds of the Porsche Taycan. There you go. It's 4 seconds to 100. There is no launch mode in this version. You need to go up to Turbo or Turbo S to have the launch mode. But trust me, the 4 second on paper, it feels much faster than this. It feels much faster than the performance Teslas we drove. So it's incredible, and it's just so tight. Everything is, the finishes, the quality of the finish inside are heaven above Tesla. You know, we loved our Teslas, and both of them, but I can see why a lot of Tesla owners are switching to the Taycan. Some of our friends would never consider Tesla, and they're buying Taycans right now. Taycan is the best-selling Porsche in Europe right now, above all other Porsche models. It's ahead of 911 Panamera. It's actually killed the Panamera sales because it's a little bit smaller than Panamera, but it's a phenomenal four-door sports car. And when the Cross Turismo version comes out next year, which is gonna be probably a little bit more money, it's gonna do extremely well. So, you know, we look forward to reviewing the other versions of the Taycan, and of course next year also the Cross Turismo. This car is capable of 270 kilowatts of charging power. The question is how long it keeps that, speed of charging, because our Audi e-tron, as you know, keeps the 150 kilowatt speed up to 80% state of charge. So we will see when we plug it in, and we won't be anywhere near. Now Porsche says that the 270 kilowatt speed is achieved at as low as 5%, and the battery temperature has to be around 30 degrees. So right now our battery temperature is 20 degrees. Perhaps when we go, when we're driving aggressively, it'll warm up the battery. But the question is, we won't be anywhere near 5%. We'll be probably just below 50%, and we'll see. We're very curious to know what kind of a speed we'll achieve. Now we'll be charging at Petro-Canada, a 350 kilowatt machine in Barrie. Hopefully the machine won't be limited. We've charged there many times on our e-tron doing 150, no problem. We'll see how fast this Taycan will go, what will be the speed, and if it's less than 270, is it because of the state of charge of the battery temperature, or is it because of the charger itself that might be limited to 200 or less. We won't go over the menus on the center screen or on the dashboard here, because you've seen it before in our other Volvo. So let's just get you our driving impressions briefly. Let's put it in drive, actually, or our favorite B mode, which gives us more regen, and talk about our driving impressions. So as you know, we are doing a hyper mileage exercise on both the Porsche Taycan and comparing with this Volvo flagship sedan. So in order to get the lowest possible consumption, we kept it in full electric or pure mode as long as we could, which was partially in the city, partially on the highway. We achieved about total 35 kilometers or so in mixed driving, and we kept it at below 110 to keep it in all electric. Then we switched it to charge mode. By the way, the charge mode, and that was my suggestion to the Volvo people, in order to activate the e-charge mode, which is in other cars very easy to do by pressing one button. Here you have to go through the center menus to click on that charge button, and then it starts to charge the battery. So once we ran out of the battery charge, then we went into charge mode, and over about 100 kilometers or so, doing highway speeds of 110, the battery went up to almost full, giving about 33 kilometers range. So not quite 100%, but it was mostly recharged, and we got another 33 kilometers range. And then once we got off the 400 highway and we entered a side road, we were again in pure electric for another 15-20 kilometers. The end result was that the average consumption for this trip, which was a total of about 160 kilometers, mostly highway, doing 110, the average fuel consumption was only 5.5 liters per 100 kilometers. So it's quite amazing. So for people traveling to cottages which are not too far away, you will save a lot of money in gas by basically toggling your pure electric mode, your charge mode, and then going back to pure electric once you're off the highway. This car has all the possible options. Again, they start at 75. This is 90,000 as is, with all the possible options here inside the car. It has the Volvo Autopilot System, which can be compared to Tesla or Nissan. It's top of the line. You can basically keep your one finger on the steering wheel, and the car basically steers itself. It'll prompt you if it feels that you're not touching the steering wheel. It'll prompt you just like Tesla every 30 seconds or so. But it's very good in keeping you in the middle of the lane. Unlike the Porsche lane keep assist, which kind of just bounces you off, it corrects you. It will prompt you back to the lane, but it bounces back and forth, and after a couple of bounces, it will basically prompt you to take over. It's a luxury sedan. It's not a performance sedan, so it cannot be really compared against the Porsche. Porsche, though, with its 120,000 base price, with 4-second acceleration to 100, this is a 75 base price and 90 as you see it, with a 5-second acceleration. So it's not that far apart, really. And for a large luxury sedan with a lot of space in the back seat, a lot of space in the trunk as well for trips, it's a phenomenal deal, bang for the buck. Again, the batteries are growing larger. Most of the other plug-in hybrids have now gone with 15 to 20 kilowatt hours. Two of them even went above 20 kilowatt hours for a plug-in hybrid, giving even longer range. But this 40 to 50 kilometer range is perfect for people driving, commuting in the city. It'll get you there and back for most people. And then if you're driving in hybrid mode, once the battery is depleted, driving in hybrid mode in the city is very economical, even though it's a large, heavy, full-size sedan from Volvo. So our impressions of this car are, great performance, a lot of space, very comfortable seating. All the luxury amenities are amazing, and also, and especially, as you know, we love our panoramic sunroofs with that open and where you can close the blind. So Porsche, as we mentioned to you, just like Tesla and like I-Pace, like the Polestar 2, it has a fixed glass roof without the blind. So they have to be heavily coated so that the interior of the car doesn't overheat. So that's just our personal preference. So again, even though these cars are hard to compare, we believe that, for now, there may not be too many cross shoppers between these two brands and these two luxury sedans. However, down the road, as Porsche goes down in their models, they're introducing more affordable versions of the Taycan, and Volvo goes upscale, going full electric or plug-in hybrid with more performance, longer range, and eventually pure electric as well. Those cars may end up being direct competitors in some way. We're sitting at the DC fast charging station by Petro-Canada in Woodbridge. We just tried a few minutes ago to fast charge in Barrie, and that's where we met up with some of our member friends from that area. However, both units were broken, so we could not charge. Luckily, we had enough charge to get to this next alternative plan B in Woodbridge. So right now we're charging. So basically we started at 25%. We were charging, at that point, we were charging at almost 200 kilowatts. As you know, Porsche is capable of up to 270 kilowatts, but that only happens at the very low state of charge, so around 5%. So when we were at 25, we started at 200 kilowatts, but very quickly, after 30%, the speed went down to about 150. And now, as you can see, we're just past the 50% mark, and it slowed down to 100 kilowatts. So Porsche charging curve is not as good as Audi e-tron. As you know from our videos about the Audi e-tron, Audi e-tron will keep 150 kilowatt rate up to about exactly 80%. Then it tapers off, it slows down after 80%. But up to and including 80%, it will charge at 150 kilowatts. So even though Porsche claims very high charging speed, the curve is not as good as Audi e-tron, even though these two companies, as you know, are part of the same group of companies, Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche. They are all one big happy family. So that brings us to the point that we really love that part of the e-tron. The charging curve is amazing. Here, it's still great, but it's not as good as the e-tron. So we were started at 25%. We'll report back to you how long it takes to go from 25% to 100%. Obviously, it slows down after 80 again, but this is very interesting to actually know what the charging curve is on the Porsche Taycan. We just finished our fast charging session here at Petro-Canada Woodbridge at Highway 7 and 400. So here today, from 25 to 100, it took us 50 minutes, and it cost us at Petro-Canada about $18. So there you go. In terms of the efficiency of the car, when we were going north today, we were in range mode, doing maximum 110. That mode is actually limited to 110. But then coming back another 150 kilometers, we were basically going left lane speed, following traffic in the left lane, so using normal mode. And so basically the consumption only went up from 19.5 to 21 and small change. So that means that the car is really efficient in spite of its weight and performance and everything else. It is definitely a long-range trip car. The only limitation is the fast charging network, as it was demonstrated today at Petro-Canada in Barrie, where both were broken. We made it, luckily we had enough range to make it here to Woodbridge. And in that respect, for road tripping, you will be much safer in a Tesla, of course, with their vast supercharging network. But our experience with the Porsche Taycan is amazing. We are definitely seriously considering this car to join our long-term fleet. Perhaps we'll wait for the Cross Turismo version because we like the hatchbacks and wagons and slightly taller cars. But this base Porsche Taycan 4S, it's an amazing car. It's definitely worth 20 grand more than the Model S, comparable Model S with comparable performance. Of course, you get more range out of Tesla, but this is more than enough for use and driving style of most people, whether it be around town or to the cottage and back. So it's an amazing car. We definitely recommend it. The other car we were driving is the Volvo T8. Again, very luxurious car, a lot of space inside, a lot of space in the trunk. It's a fast car with 400 horses, 5-second acceleration to 100 versus 4-second on a Taycan. So it's still it's a high performance sedan, but it's more luxury, it's quieter inside. It has way more space, especially in the back row, but it's a plug-in hybrid, of course. So all in all, if you're going for performance, you're gonna go with a Porsche. If you want luxury and space, you will likely go with the Volvo. So thanks again for watching. We'll see you at the next chapter.